Live from WRAL News headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
A crash during the morning commute leads to gunfire. What we know about the victim of this violent road rage incident. And after an uncertain future, classes begin today for students at St. Augustine's University. What one student told us prompted him to return to the HBCU. Plus, we're exactly 1 week away from the first face-to-face debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump, how each candidates are preparing. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michelle McConaughey in for an H2.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. We are following two big stories out of Granville County. The first is a case involving a 17-year-old murder suspect who escaped from a juvenile detention center. He is back in custody. We'll have a live report from Butner in just a moment. But we begin with a road rage incident that ended with one person shot. WRAL's Noah Klein is live in our studio with us with an update on this story. Noah?
Yeah, Jeff, we've been following developments here for the last couple of hours. They say the person was driving a Mustang and ended up rear-ending that pickup truck. Let's take you straight to video here from WRAL. Sky 5 flying over this scene this morning. We know a lot has developed over the day. So multiple units from the Granville County Sheriff's Office and State Highway Patrol responded. This happened on NC 96 in Granville County. The person who was shot ended up in the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Still working to learn how many shots were fired and if both drivers shot at each other. Also working to learn the name of both people involved in this incident. The Granville County Sheriff's Office is leading the investigation into what happened and to find the driver of that Mustang.
All right, thanks, Noah. And now to our other top story out of Granville County. In less than 3 hours, we expect to learn more about a 17-year-old who escaped a juvenile detention center in Butner. WRAL's Chelsea Donovan is live outside the facility where Zane Sesnick escaped. Chelsea.
Yeah, so behind me, this is the C.A. Dillon Youth Development Center here in Butner that we understand 17-year-old Zane Sesnick escaped from on Monday afternoon. We understand this is a 35-bed facility that houses medium security inmates. Now, let's show you his photo. This is 17-year-old Zane Sesnick, the juvenile who escaped Monday afternoon. He was on the run for just about 8 hours before being captured. He was actually just located 10 minutes from this juvenile youth development center. Now, Sesnick was jailed for the murder of 71-year-old Jerry Hicks. That is a Wake County man who was found dead inside of his home on Old Millburney Road in June of last year. Now, today, we hope to find out from the Granville Sheriff's Office how this teen escaped and where he will be housed after the escape. NCDPS characterized him with a history of unpredictable behavior. Now, we understand not only will the Granville County Sheriff's Office be speaking at this press conference, but also the head of juvenile justice, that's Billy Lasser, to provide more insight on how this teen escaped this facility here right behind me, just a few minutes down from the Federal Correction Institution. We will bring you that press conference live on WRAL.com. Live in Granville County, Chelsea Donovan, WRAL News.
It's the first day of class at St. Augustine's University, and one thing that is immediately noticeable, there are fewer students on campus. Classes were originally scheduled to start 2 weeks ago, but during the delay, the university secured funding in order to hold classes. WRAL's Destiny Patterson is live outside campus right now. And Destiny, give us a sense. What's the mood like there?
Jeff, there seems to be a lot of positivity from the students that I've talked to. This is part of their welcome week, and we've actually seen more cars coming through here, more traffic than we've seen in the last several months, but still fewer than we've seen in the past several years. That's because interim President Marcus Burgess estimates that they're expecting about 200 students to be enrolled this semester. That's down about 80% compared to previous years when the school had about 1,000 students enrolled. This comes in the midst of the university's financial troubles and its fight for its accreditation. But one student says she knew she was coming back to St. Augustine's despite its challenges.
Well, I've always learned never to quit what you started. So I just decided to stay because you never know what can happen in the long run.
A probationary period. Staff will be focused on getting back on track, getting back its compliance, and proving that it's financially fit this semester. They'll have until December to do so because that's when their accrediting governing board will make their final decision. We'll continue to follow that. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, Raleigh.
In about an hour, we expect to get an update on UNC Chapel Hill's new emergency preparedness methods. The university's director of emergency management and planning will talk about those new efforts. Among them are improvements to the Alert Carolina notification and warning system. That'll include more ways to communicate and more frequent alerts. An update also on the new emergency preparedness module of instructions is expected today as well. And the online training is meant to prepare faculty and teaching assistants to respond to a crisis. This is all happening just more than a year after the on-campus shooting that killed an associate professor.
I'm Brett Neese here in the WRAL Live Center with some brand new video here into the Live Center from a campaign stop over in Davidson County. North Carolina's Republican Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson stopping in the Triad today at one of the local restaurants there, making a campaign stop. To start the day, he'll be making several campaign stops in that area. Of course, he's running against the Democratic Attorney General Josh Stein in this November election. This is brand new video here into the newsroom about this campaign stop. We're working to learn some more information about those campaign stops. We'll keep you updated.
Thanks, Brett. We are exactly 1 week away from the debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. Tomorrow, Harris plans to unveil the next level of her economic advisors during a speech in New Hampshire, while Trump intends to virtually headline a summit in Las Vegas. NBC's Peter Alexander explains how both candidates are preparing for the face-off in Philadelphia.
With just 9 weeks to go, the battle for the White House is now a dramatically changed race. Harris versus Trump, with the current president, Joe Biden, campaigning for the first time alongside his VP, who now tops the Democratic ticket.
She has a backbone like a ramrod. And she has the moral compass of a saint. This woman knows what she's doing.
Harris in Pennsylvania, using the Labor Day holiday to emphasize her commitment to union workers.
When union wages go up, everybody's wages go up. When union workplaces are safer, all workplaces are safer. When unions are strong, America is strong.
Noticeably off the trail this Labor Day, Mr. Trump, but attacking Harris on his social media platform, writing all Americans are suffering during this holiday weekend. Also over the weekend, the former president sparking new controversy by insisting he had every right to interfere with the 2020 election while repeating his false claim that criminal election interference cases against him are politically motivated.
Whoever heard you get indicted for interfering with a presidential election where you have every right to do it? You get indicted and your poll numbers go up.
The next major moment in this race, the presidential debate, now just 1 week away. Multiple sources familiar with Harris's preparations tell NBC News she's held a series of work sessions between campaign stops and her official duties. Unlike Mr. Trump, who shared the stage with President Biden earlier this summer, it'll be Harris's first debate in nearly 4 years.
That was Peter Alexander reporting. The debate takes place at 9 p.m. next Tuesday, and you can watch it live right here on WRAL. Trump's running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, and Harris's running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, have both agreed to a vice presidential debate on October 1st.
Today, the Durham County Board of Elections opens its new facility. It's located on South Roxborough Street at the Shops of Hope Valley. The downtown office closed Friday. The renovated space will consolidate all of the board's operations into a single building. Only part of the building will be open today. The full building will open by mid-October.
And taking a look at Wall Street right now, the first day of trading for September, and we are down 466 with the Dow Jones. The August jobs report is due out on Friday, which could influence how deeply the Federal Reserve cuts interest rates at its meeting this month. Also, S&P 500 right now down 82 points, and NASDAQ down 433 points right now. Next at noon, as Israelis push for a hostage deal, Hamas has a new directive from its leader. What fighters are being told to do if Israeli defense forces close in on the people being held.
Also, a new report shows how Americans spent their money this summer, how it could affect what happens to interest rates in 2 weeks.
And historically high levels of cannabis use among adults. At 12:30, we break down the numbers for men and women. Elizabeth.
It's gorgeous out here right now. Take a look at our dew point. It's sitting in the comfy zone. It is likely to stay there for a few days. I'll show you when it will start to feel a little stickier and wetter, too, coming up.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
Welcome back on your beautiful Tuesday afternoon as we look live over downtown Raleigh. Plenty of blue skies, feeling really comfortable out there right now. You're watching WRAL News, available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
Hamas is now operating under new instructions on how to handle hostages if Israeli forces approach their locations in Gaza. The announcement comes after the Israeli military recovered the bodies of 6 hostages from a tunnel in southern Gaza. They had been shot as Israeli forces closed in. NBC's Matt Bradley reports from Tel Aviv.
Well, I'm here in what Israelis have rechristened as Hostage Square, and it's just one place among many throughout the country where we're going to see a third day of protests demanding a hostage deal. And a lot of their anger is focused at their own prime minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. And this is about these 6 hostages who were found dead just a couple of days ago over the weekend. A lot of folks here say that even though Hamas pulled the trigger, they're blaming Benjamin Netanyahu for not coming to a hostage deal that would have freed them before they were killed. And now we've also been hearing some chilling words from Hamas themselves. The spokesperson for the Al-Qassam brigades, which is their militant unit, has said that there have been new instructions ever since June to kill any hostages once it seems the IDF is bearing down upon them. Now, this is a new ultimatum we're kind of expecting after we saw the corpses of those 6 hostages, because autopsies showed that they were alive 48 to 72 hours before their bodies were discovered. So the fact is that this is now becoming essentially a question of finishing off Hamas or saving the hostages' lives. That has always kind of been the math here, but Benjamin Netanyahu has consistently decided that he is going to choose destroying Hamas before he rescues the hostage. Now, that's a stark way to put it, but this is what Yoav Gallant, the Minister of Defense, has described this calculation. It's a cynical one, but one that Benjamin Netanyahu defended last night in an address to the country, where he said that he had asked the hostage families for forgiveness and then went into a lecture describing why his demands on these hostage negotiations must still stand and how they're necessary for Israel's security. Matt Bradley, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
I'm Brett Neese here at the WRAL Live Center, following some breaking news out of New York, where we now know the charges that a former top aide to New York Governor Kathy Hochul is facing. Linda's son and her husband were arrested at their home here on Long Island this morning, and now they are being charged with Linda's son is being charged with acting as an undisclosed agent of the Chinese government. So she's going to face a initial court hearing along with her husband later today. We're learning a lot of new information coming out of these charges that just came out here this morning. We'll continue to keep you updated here in the WRAL Live Center.
All right, thanks, Brett. In less than an hour, Raleigh City Council will take comments about a proposed new development on Six Forks Road. The new development would be on Computer Drive at Six Forks Road, that is just off of the I-440 Beltline across the highway from North Hills. The proposal calls to rezone the property for buildings up to 20 stories tall. And drivers who use I-440 should brace themselves for a new round of ramp closures as part of the ongoing project to widen the Beltline. Starting tonight at 9 o'clock, the I-440 East ramps at the Hillsborough Street interchange, they are set to close for about 9 days. On Wednesday, I-440 East to Wade Avenue will close for several hours beginning at 9 p.m. At the same time, the Western Boulevard ramp to I-440 East is also set to close, and that is expected to reopen by 5 a.m. There will be detour signs for each closure, and all of this is contingent on the weather. Speaking of
that, let's not put the brakes on this great stretch of weather that we have been having. And Elizabeth Gardner out on the WRAL weather patio. That's the place to be today, Elizabeth.
It is. You know, we suffered through a lot of heat standing around out here over the summer, but it's gorgeous out here right now. We took a live look at the gardens behind. There have been a few people walking around back and forth, but I tell you, I mean, today's a great day to come visit the gardens. I mean, it's best known for the azaleas, but there are a lot of things blooming, you know, through most of the year. So come on out and enjoy. The weather's just great. You know, we're so close to downtown. It's just a nice little escape It makes you feel like you're out of the city. 75 is our temperature right now with a dew point of 53. It just doesn't get much better than that. I mean, that's Goldilocks weather in my book. Around town this afternoon, we don't get that much hotter. 79 in Raleigh, 78 in Durham, and 82 in Fayetteville as the kids are getting off the school bus this afternoon. And hopefully, I mean, I know everybody's got homework, but hopefully you find some time to just get outside and enjoy this absolutely stunning weather. And maybe open the windows before you go to bed. Our overnight lows are going to be in the 50s, looking at 51 up around Roxborough and 60 in Fayetteville. So it's going to be a very comfortable evening. Our humidity stays low and our temperatures will be very comfortable tonight. Then from there, ever so slowly, we start to see our humidity, our dew point climbing. By Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, it's back up into the humid zone. And that, of course, is because we're going to see a cold front coming through and we're going to end up with a chance of thunderstorms. So that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's not going to be a washout by any means. It's not going to feel anything like what we saw over the weekend, but we'll walk through what to expect coming up in just a little bit. Some breezy conditions out here. A few minutes ago, I was standing here, my hair was blowing around all over the place. We're looking at some gusts up to 20-25 miles per hour. It's not enough to cause any real problems. It's just, it's just a little breezy out here. And that'll be the case into the afternoon. Once we get into the evening, we do see that breeze dying off just a touch. Temperature change. Of course, the blue is where we're looking at temperatures that are below normal. And we're nicely below normal for the next couple of days. It warms slightly on Friday and Saturday. And then look at those dark blue shaded areas rolling back in. We get a nice push of some pretty cool air for Sunday and Monday. In the week ahead, the number of 90-degree days and the 7-day big zero. That's really fun to say. Our current forecast is an 8-day stretch without 90-degree days. And maybe we'll go even beyond that. The last time we had that long of a stretch of days at 90 without any 90s or hotter was May 27th to June 3rd. So way back in the spring. Hopscotch Music Festival. Temperatures are going to feel good for that on Thursday. It's a little warmer on Friday and Saturday, which is fine, a little more sticky. The big question is the thunderstorms. Thursday, it's a 30% chance. It's a 20% chance on Friday, which is just tiny, and then a 40% chance on Saturday. There are some indoor events along with hopscotch, so if you are headed out, the schedule is extensive. There's so many groups playing in so many different places that some of it's outside. But again, that chance for thunderstorms is pretty slim. And again, the highest chance is going to be Thursday night and then maybe during the afternoon on Saturday. And coming up in just a few minutes, I'll walk you through and we'll talk about when the best chance for rain will be.
All right, looks beautiful out there. Thanks, Elizabeth. Well, what you put down the drain can impact much more than your own home's pipes. It can affect the whole county. Coming up at 4, we get back to the cause of a clog that sent gallons of sewage into the pond at Joyner Park. And we talk about what you can do to make sure spills like that don't happen in the future.
Plus, new developments in the murder case of London and Devin Blake. Now, tonight at 6, we look into a new confession sent to our Investigates team that you'll see only on WRAL. Meantime, still ahead this noon, the Federal Reserve is expected to lower interest rates in the next couple weeks. How consumer spending this summer could turn into benefits this fall.
And California researchers believe they may have the solution to the world's cocoa shortage. After the break, how the company is fighting the effects of climate change. As this holiday weekend wraps up, new government numbers are giving us a look at how Americans spent their money over the summer, and the view could impact what happens to interest rates later this month. Emily Schmidt reports what this could mean for you.
In summer terms, the 4th of July may feel like a lifetime ago. But in economic terms, what was happening then is just now coming to light.
Consumer spending was strong in July. 0.4% for the month, just below 3% year over year.
Commerce Department figures released Friday show stronger than expected spending, with the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, or PCE inflation gauge, holding steady. That's also better than expected.
It means continued movement in the right direction with easing inflation.
You may have noticed one sign already.
We are actually seeing relief at the pump. So $3.35 national average. That's a reduction of about 50 cents since last Labor Day, and the lowest Labor Day gas prices we've seen in 3 years.
The numbers in the Commerce Department report are likely to play out on the campaign trail over the next 2 months, as both inflation and borrowing costs continue to be top concerns for voters.
I'm very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation down to less than 3%.
Together, we will deliver low taxes, low regulations, low energy costs, low interest rates, low inflation, so that everyone can afford groceries, a car, and a home.
But the most critical result of the PCE could become clear in just a couple of weeks, when the Fed announces if it will or will not cut interest rates for the first time since 2020.
That was Emily Schmidt reporting. Even after the Fed starts cutting rates, credit card interest rates will not go down significantly. Consumers with credit card debt should keep paying down their debt per their original plan. And you can also call the credit card company to negotiate a lower interest rate.
As climate change continues to threaten the world's cocoa production, researchers are racing to find ways to grow the crop under more stable conditions. Cocoa trees like a warm climate, but dramatically hotter temperatures are drying out the land. Researchers at the company California Cultured have devised a way to grow cocoa inside a lab. Workers place cocoa bean cells in sugar water to help them reach maturity in about a week.
Take a cutting of the cocoa bean, put them onto plates, and we trick basically the cocoa cells to grow and divide. And after a certain level of growth, we're able to harvest that and transform that into chocolate.
So basically, they're developing the underlying technology that could actually grow chocolate and coffee anywhere in the world without some of the exploitative or destructive practices.
Cannabis use in the U.S. is at historically high levels, the category that is consuming the drug in record numbers.
Also, school districts across the country are considering full or partial bans on cell phones in class. Why one expert says cutting down on distractions isn't the only reason they're pushing for this change. And here's a look at your winning NC Education lottery numbers on your screen. We'll be right back.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
In less than 3 hours, we expect to learn more about how a 17-year-old facing murder charges escaped from a juvenile detention center in Butner. The Granville County Sheriff's Office will hold a press conference at 3 p.m. today. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey walks us through what we know.
We're expecting to receive an update here at the Granville County Sheriff's Office in just a few hours. And the number one question we're asking right now is, how was that person able to escape? There's still a lot we don't know right now, but here's what we do know. 17-year-old Zane Sesnick was recaptured around 10 o'clock last night after an 8-hour search. He was found at the intersection of Range Road and Roberts Chapel Road in Butner. That's less than 10 minutes away from the Dillon Juvenile Detention Center where he was in custody. He was indicted last year on murder charges. He's accused of killing a 71-year-old man. Sky 5 flew over the detention center yesterday as investigators searched for Sesnick. 3 law enforcement agencies were working to find him. WRAL reached out to his family yesterday. They didn't want to comment. Since he was found only a few minutes away from the detention center, we're working to find out if he escaped on foot or if he was able to get in a car. We'll be sure to be at that news conference that's scheduled for this afternoon at 3 o'clock. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Granville County.
And we're also working to learn how a man died after Halifax police say he bonded out of jail, stole a car, and disappeared on Saturday. Investigators say crews recovered the body of Mohammed Dabyani from the Roanoke River yesterday. Dabyani was booked into the Halifax County Jail on Saturday for trespassing, and then he bonded out. They say after he was released, he stole a car from the Dollar General on Highway 301 in Halifax County. His family reported him missing shortly after. The car was found on Sunday.
I'm Brad Nisi in the WRAL Live Center with an update from the war in Ukraine. Ukrainian officials now say that at least 50 people are dead after a Russian airstrike that happened earlier today. This is brand new video showing you some of the damage there that was done in this airstrike, killing 50 people and wounding at least 200 others. The strike appears to be one of the deadliest carried out by Russian forces since the war began more than 900 days ago. Missiles hit shortly after an air raid alert sounded. This is brand new video showing you all the destruction that happened after that. So we're working to learn some more information about this airstrike. At least 50 are dead now.
Students are back in the classroom now, but a growing number of states and school districts are taking a hardline approach on cell phone usage. It's not just about limiting distractions. Rebecca Castor reports it's also part of an effort to protect students' mental health.
We all know teenagers who are glued to their cell phones, always scrolling, texting, and snapping. But with more data out there showing the dangers of social media, coupled with lower test scores nationwide since pandemic lockdowns, more schools are saying enough is enough.
We recognize that for students to learn, they need to be attending, not just physically, but also emotionally and intellectually.
Fairfax County in Virginia is one school district cracking down on cell phones. At some of its middle schools, students will lock away their phones in a magnetic pouch like this. Schools in Arkansas, California, Connecticut, and Texas are also trying this out.
We think it's fine. I think it lets us focus more. There are so many other problems that they can solve, but they choose to choose this. If anything, they're just as addicted to our phones as us.
When the school has a policy that, to ban cell phones, it actually makes it a lot easier for parents to say, well, what do you need it for? No one in school has one anyway.
You don't see students in the middle of a basketball game on the basketball court with a cell phone in their hand. They're not on theater on stage with a cell phone in their hand, right? They're engaging. We have got to break this chain of isolation in our country for our children truly to be mentally healthy.
Mental health is a driving force behind many of these new policies. But some kids and parents worry about what they'll do in an emergency.
Back in the day, parents used to call the front office, right?
I think in cases like this, where the consequences and the stakes are so high for the well-being of kids, that we really should have done this a while ago.
That was Rebecca Castor reporting. When Congress is back in session next week, lawmakers are expected to officially pass legislation designed to make social media safer for teens.
While some students are facing bans of devices this academic year, some schools are turning an eye toward kids' wardrobes. Open-toe slide sandals, hooded sweatshirts, and even Crocs or foam clogs. They've been against the rules at a high school in Alabama. Last week, we told you about the ban on all black clothing at a middle school in El Paso, Texas, due to it being associated with mental health issues like depression. And a middle school in Alabama that has removed mirrors from the girls' restrooms because of frequent restroom breaks involving more than a dozen girls at once, some making videos in front of the mirror during class. And since that mirror removal, school officials say they have seen a significant reduction in restroom visits throughout the day. And covering Wake County, today's school leaders are working on a student reassignment plan for the school system. Staff will look at the first draft of this school enrollment plan for the next school year. It includes recommendations for 4 new schools, 3 elementary and 1 high school. And leaders will also look at the results of an SRO survey given to school employees about those officers' job performance. It all gets started this afternoon at 2:30.
In about 30 minutes, the group that owns PNC Arena will meet with Raleigh City Council and the Wake County Commission. Representatives from the Centennial Authority will give both boards an update about the $300 million PNC Arena enhancement project. Last month, we got our first look at what the arena could look like in the future. The new facility could include grab-and-go markets for food and retail and more parking. Renderings also featured a beer garden, team store, and VIP lobby. Renovation is expected to start next summer. The Raleigh City Council meeting is at 1 o'clock. Wake County Commission meeting is at 5. Still ahead this noon, more adults are using cannabis and hallucinogenics than ever before. And what other findings are coming out of a recent study into recreational drug use?
Plus, don't let the shelf life of fruits and vegetables deter you from adding them to your diet. Coming up, we share a way to make your produce last longer. And we'd love to connect with you online. Follow WRAL on Facebook to join the conversation.
The number of adults using cannabis and hallucinogens in the past year has remained at a historically high level. Researchers discovered the number of adults between 19 and 30 years of age who used a vape for cannabis or nicotine in the past year increased over 5 years' time. During the same time period, adults 35 through 50 who used vaping stayed the same. For the first time, 19 to 30-year-old women reported higher use of cannabis than men in the same age group. People who challenge an unexpected medical bill are likely to experience some form of financial relief. About 1 in 5 people say they've received a medical bill they couldn't afford or disagreed with. Researchers found nearly 75% of people who said there was an error had the mistake corrected. The research indicates although many people think reaching out for clarity on a bill is too time-consuming, it still may be worth it.
With grocery store prices on the rise, some people may decide to skip buying fruits and vegetables since they go bad so easily. But there are ways to help extend their shelf life. It's important to consider the types of fruits and veggies that you're picking. Bananas, berries, and asparagus, they rot really quickly. And bananas also should not be in the same bowl as other fruits because they emit a gas that can make everything ripen faster. So here's another piece of advice. Be sure to keep your fruit and vegetables high in the refrigerator in clear containers so you can see them at all times. Also, don't shy away from buying frozen.
And I think there's a little bit of shame might be the best word about like, oh, I really want to have a beautiful cup of berries. Frozen can't be as good as fresh, right? You know, it really depends on the season. Frozen foods are frozen at peak ripeness, so you get that same nutrient density.
And another benefit to buying frozen fruits and veggies is they can stay in your freezer for months at a time.
Younger generations rely on social media for information, and career experts say influencers may even be driving young people away from crucial jobs. The negative effects of online career advice coming up.
Plus, as our temperatures are cooling down this week, folks who live across the country could see extreme highs. We look at how far into the 100s temperatures will go in California. Career experts say content creators on apps like TikTok and Instagram are steering millennials and Gen Z away from crucial jobs. Connor Hansen explains how this emerging trend could spell trouble in the future.
Younger generations lean into social media as the source for information, and that includes job searches. 66% of all Gen Zers and 81% of college graduates are using apps like TikTok as their main source for career advice, according to research by healthcare technology company ShiftKey.
Gen Z going on to social media, TikTok, Instagram, and seeing content that is really negative about these types of jobs, and it's influencing their decision about whether or not to pursue these careers. And it's actually having more of an influence than family, friends, and school.
Digging deeper into the content, ShiftKey reports posts related to pursuing so-called hero jobs like firefighters, teachers, and nurses are seen as overwhelmingly negative, steering job seekers away from those critical industries.
One of the challenges with these jobs is that they can be incredibly inflexible, which can lead to burnout. And so I think what's important about social media is that people are getting a more broad picture about what this work is like.
Social media algorithms are helping drive millennial and Gen Z disinterest in hero jobs, potentially endangering these fields long term, especially at a time when they're already experiencing historic workforce shortages.
Unless we figure out how to entice these workers into the field, we're going to continue to see that gap grow.
I feel like my job is gratifying.
Crystal Callison, a nurse and micro-influencer, says seeing both sides of a job can be helpful, but shouldn't be the deciding factor.
It's concerning that there's not a good reflection or understanding of nursing and how great it can be. The decision to do something for yourself should not be impacted so largely by other people's feelings about it.
That was Connor Hansen reporting. On the other hand, content creators are highlighting careers dubbed lazy girl jobs, remote roles that pay well. Experts say industries need to rebrand these hero jobs, focusing on what is most important to younger generations.
We're finally starting to get a break from triple-digit heat, but the same cannot be said for some of the folks who live on the West Coast. Parts of Southern California could see temperatures up to 115 degrees this week. That is the actual temperature, not the heat index. Coachella Valley and San Diego County deserts could see high temperatures climb as high as 118. That is 10 to 15 degrees higher than this time of the year, what they normally get. Meantime, we are 10 or 15 degrees lower than what we usually get this time of year. Elizabeth Gardner is out on the WRAL weather patio. What's our average high now, like 87 or so?
Yeah, it's 80s, 86, 87, and we're seeing temperatures about 10 degrees below that for sure. Yeah, lovely out here. Again, just taking a live look at the gardens, enjoying a little piece of shade right here on our weather patio, and just some lovely conditions. Here's the big picture. We have a front that came through on Sunday, dumped a lot of heavy rain in some places. That front's been lingering offshore. It's stationary at this point, but it's on its way out of here. You can see the high pressure system sitting right under the banner that says satellite and radar. It's right there at the Great Lakes. That high pressure system is rotating clockwise, and that is what's dragging down all this nice, cool, dry air into North Carolina. Now, if you look just back to the west across parts of Texas, we're looking at the next system starting to develop, and that's going to roll in here and bring us a chance of some showers and thunderstorms starting again on Thursday. As you're headed out the door, it's a little bit breezy in places. We have our wind coming out of the northeast. It's steady at 10 in the Triangle, it's steady at 18 down in Fayetteville, 9 in Clinton, 17 in Goldsboro, and we're gusting to 25 in Rocky Mount, gusting to 30 in Fayetteville, and 21 around the Triangle. So it's a little breezy out here. Nothing that's going to cause any damage, just a little windy. You'll notice I will likely continue to see those gusty winds all the way up until maybe 7 or 8 o'clock once we get towards sunset. You can see the whirligigs. Whirligigs are spinning around. You can see the plants behind me blowing around, and and the hair. Of course. Checking our weather headlines. This early fall weather is lovely. Nice drop in humidity. We are likely to see a few late week thunderstorms Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but not as much rain as what we saw over the weekend, just this past weekend. And beyond the 7-day forecast, we continue to see below normal temperatures. Let's talk first about the rain that's headed our way. We'll roll through our computer model. You can see that warm front lifting northward. It's going to bump us back into the 80s for highs. And of course, along the cold front that'll sweep through behind it is where we'll have the best chance of rain. So it's 30% chance on Thursday, only 20 on Friday, and 40% chance on Saturday. So we're not talking about a huge chance for rain. It looks like Saturday would be the biggest chance, but it's likely to be just scattered afternoon and evening thunderstorms. It's not likely to be an all-day sort of a washout. Here's a look at our tropical outlook. New today is that 10% chance right in the middle of the Atlantic, a little farther to the east off the coast of Africa, 40%, and then over toward Mexico, about 40% as well. In September, we tend to see the most storms. This is our most active month, and so far, so good. We haven't seen much, but it's just started. It's only the 3rd of September. We typically see September storms developing in the central Atlantic and then moving through the western Atlantic, which is off the coast of the United States, really off the coast of North Carolina. It's been an interesting season so far. We had a cluster of 3 storms in June and a big break, and then 3 storms in August, and now it's been 2 weeks since we've seen a tropical system. Part of the reason is we have the Sahara dust, the dust from the Sahara Desert coming across the tropics, and that's very dry, and it's not very conducive to storms developing. For us, pretty weather the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, and then getting into just a small chance of a thunderstorm Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday looks glorious, 79 degrees and 80 on Monday. So overall, not a bad looking 7-day forecast.
Not bad at all. I'll take it. Thanks, Elizabeth. Well, the U.S. Open is not just about tennis. For spectators, coming up, we're looking into how many millions people spent on cocktails at this year's event.
Oh, so it's a party.
It's a party.
Winning Powerball numbers just help you buy around, maybe. 8, 42, 46, 48, 53. The Powerball is 22. The Power Play multiplier is 3. We have your top stories next. We wrap things up for you this noon with a look at a few of the headlines we are following for you today.
17-year-old Zane Cesnik is back in custody after escaping from a detention facility yesterday. He was found about 10 minutes away from the Dillon Juvenile Detention Center in Butner a little after 10 o'clock last night. Court documents show that Cesnik was arrested and charged with the murder of 71-year-old Jerry Hicks in Wake County last year. The Granville County Sheriff's Office is giving an update about his escape and capture at 3 o'clock.
In the next few minutes, UNC Chapel Hill leaders are expected to give a new update on new safety and security protocols. The university's director of emergency management will share more about the changes to the Alert Carolina system, as well as the new instructor emergency preparedness model. This comes a year after a faculty member was shot and killed by a graduate student on campus. That meeting starts at 1 o'clock.
And students at St. Augustine's University started class today. It comes after the school year was delayed due to multiple problems, including financial issues. Earlier this month, St. Augustine secured a loan that helped ensure the school has funds to conduct classes for this semester.
Sales of the signature drink at the U.S. Open are set to surpass $10 million this year. The Honey Deuce is a mix of Grey Goose vodka, lemonade, and a raspberry liqueur. It comes in a commemorative plastic cup, and it's topped with 3 pieces of honeydew melon scooped to look like tiny little tennis balls. The signature drink does not come cheap. The price has gone up 4 times in the past 5 years. It is now $23 for that drink this year.
Yeah, that's cheap.
Yeah.
Well, as summer comes to an end, the number of full-time lifeguards are being scaled back on North Carolina beaches. Starting today at Wrightsville Beach, the number of working lifeguards is dropping down from 14 to 6. It is worth reminding that while the number of lifeguards goes down, the danger in the water does not.
This time of year, unfortunately, there's typically, less lifeguards, but the conditions are still extremely dangerous. Just because there is no storms and it seems completely calm, rip currents can occur at any time.
And lifeguards will be stationed and patrolling at every other stand on the beach. They urge swimmers to stay near the staffed stands and pay attention to warning flags during the peak of hurricane season.
Cumberland County Animal Services' mission is to foster harmony between people and animals. Cumberland's dedicated team works to enforce state and local laws, provide humane shelter for stray and unwanted animals, and promote responsible pet ownership. Through their shelter and adoption programs, law enforcement, and public education efforts, they strive to improve the welfare of both animals and the community. We are getting an update on the $300 million PNC improvement project today. Coming up at 4 o'clock, we are sharing those updates being presented by the Centennial Authority on the work to improve visitor operations, the visitor experience, and amenities at PNC Arena.
That is just going to be so cool.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of them, a lot about them, both inside and out. I think that it's going to be like a whole new district where you can go for
shopping,
all kinds of things. Yeah,
the VIP experience. It's going to be great. All right, WRAL News is next on WRAL. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Your next local news update is in 30 minutes.
You can always get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. This is the time to go have a great day out there. A live look at White Lake, and temperatures still very nice out there, and certainly the humidity just about gone right now. Have a great day.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air channel 34 and Spectrum channel 1257.